Comic-Con episode, this time live from San Diego. No, I'm not actually. It's just a background, but we will be live, like all of us, there all week in San Diego. But this is the annual Countdown to Comic-Con episode, and as you can see, we're doing something a little bit different this year. We're going to do video. You can actually watch it this time. There's an audio-only version, like always, wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, however you listen to audio podcasts, it's on there. But on our YouTube channel here, you can watch a full episode, quote unquote, of the countdown. But there's two versions. One is the one you're watching right now. This is the full length version. However, when we get to the interviews with the panelists, the exhibitors, those are going to be edited, not for content, for time. Because if I let them go all the way through, you would be watching a 3-hour movie. We're going to watch one of those in December. You know which one. But I don't think you want to watch a countdown episode for 3 hours. So it's edited for time. However, there is a playlist called, yeah, you guessed it, the Countdown to Comic-Con. And all the interviews, you can find them there unedited, full length. So two ways to watch it. Either what you're watching right now, the full length, or the playlist. And the playlist, again, those are the unedited versions of the interviews you're about to watch. So without further ado's, well, one more ado. Let me let you all know that thank you, first of all, to Comic Book Hideout in downtown Fullerton. They're the sponsor for our coverage this year of San Diego Comic-Con. Comic Book Hideout is at 215 West Commonwealth in downtown Fullerton. Visit them, start a pull list, be there, of course, every New Comics Wednesday, or visit them first online at comicbookhideout.com. Now, let's get the countdown started.
The countdown has begun.
And welcome everybody to the Countdown to Comic-Con episode for this year. We are doing something new this year. You can literally see what that is, and it's that. You can see us. For the first time in 16 years, because a lot of you said, why don't you guys do video? I've never really been a video guy. You know, I'm one of those that I was always told, you have a face for radio. And yeah, I came from the radio side, but now that I know what it means, like, okay, I kind of see what they were talking about. But I figured, you know what? Everybody does video. Let's try it. And what better episode than the Countdown to Comic-Con episode? You heard him. You saw a little sneak peek there. We're also going to start the way we've always started. We missed each other last year because of our schedules, but he is back to kick it off. That's David Glanzer. David Glanzer is the Chief Communications and Strategy Officer from San Diego Comic-Con. David, welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to be back, Henry. Although, you know, how many years later? 40 years later? 30 years later?
Yeah, yes, for 40, 50,
Yeah, that's
50.
crazy.
Yeah.
Were we ever that young? Man.
Yes. Well, actually, funny you say that because I mentioned it to you before we started recording that I was looking as I was getting ready for the San Diego episode this year. I was looking through all kind of stuff on YouTube on everywhere online. When I was on YouTube, I ran across, and this is from CBS 8. I think there's still a channel in San Diego, right?
They are. They're the CBS affiliate.
Yeah, so they have a YouTube channel like most people do today, and because it's coming up, they were showing clips from Comic-Cons from years past. I was watching them and I was like, it looks nothing like today's Comic-Con. But then the year was 1985. I was watching it, and towards the end, I had to rewind it even because like, wait, that person looks familiar. Let me see if you guys can guess who this person is. Watch this clip.
The convention attracts about 5,000 people over a 4-day period, and though a majority of those people are interested in comic books, a lot of those people are also interested in film and whatnot. So we're not just a comic book convention, we're really a lot more.
David, did you recognize that young man?
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it doesn't say on there. Were you on staff already at Comic-Con, or were you just an attendee and they just happened to catch you?
I was actually a volunteer, and the funny thing is that was 1 year after I started volunteering. I started volunteering in '84, and so I had a year under my belt in doing publicity for them. It's funny because in '84 I was working on a presidential campaign also, so I was splitting my time between Comic-Con and the presidential campaign that summer. But '85 was it was right in the thick of it. And You mentioned it looking different. It really does. And the reason being that was the old Convention and Performing Arts Center, which is downtown San Diego, more toward the city center. And in fact, that facility is connected to City Hall. And for those old enough to remember, the facility was two-story. One side was a big hall that is where the exhibit hall was, we called the dealer's room at the time. The other one was also a big hall, but we had it situated so that you could have seats like in a thrust type thing, so we could have the masquerade and any big programs there. And in the two floors of meeting space, I don't know how many meeting rooms. There weren't a lot, but we had films and programs and panels and much smaller show, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. To me, the funny thing was, especially now that you're explaining that, like you said, you weren't officially on staff yet; you were just a volunteer, but you're already talking like David today. You're already giving a very what is it, chief communications and strategy officer type answer, which is what I found funny about the whole thing.
Well, I appreciate that, but I will tell you something. We are very lucky to have the volunteers that we do, and I'm not talking about myself necessarily, but the people who are involved even to this day who volunteer their time are real professional in what it is they do and how it is that they do it. A dear friend of mine, Rick, volunteered when he was very young, I think 15 or 16, and he lived in San Diego. He now lives in LA and works for one of the studios. But his mother at one point was like, "Why do you do this volunteering the whole weekend? We don't see you." And he's all, "I really enjoy it." Well, his mother came down to the show once, and it was still, I think, it may have been at the convention center at this point, but she came down and he told me that she said afterwards, "I totally get it now. You are young people who are given a great deal of responsibility, handle it really well, and pull off this amazing thing." And it's true. We're very lucky with the people that we have who are affiliated with the show and do great work. I mean, we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, yeah, and this is not talking bad about the security that's there at the convention center, but a lot of times, and people watching that go there, you do this also. We actually go to the volunteers for information because they know it. They know how everything is more than sometimes than security does. I mean, security, they handle every event at the convention center, so they know Comic Con is coming. But for everything else, yes, the volunteers are definitely your go-to.
The volunteers really are, and we have committee meetings once a month, every month, leading up to the show, and then each committee will have subcommittee meetings throughout the month during the months as well. So they really are knowledgeable about everything that's happening. And in defense of the security, you're right. The security doesn't always know everything. They're really tasked with trying to make sure to maintain safety and all that. One of the things that we have done is security is such an important aspect of our event that we hire so much security. We have to hire different security companies, most of them from San Diego, some from LA and other cities. So we actually have a security company that oversees security. And then we have an internal liaison who liaises with that security. So it's not unusual that they wouldn't necessarily know where certain programs are held. They probably will know where certain rooms are held, but a lot of those security guards are also given a division to oversee. So I think they try to do the best they can, but it's a huge show, as you know, and hey, I have to ask volunteers often, "Where is so and so? What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, well, David, it said this," and they kind of give me a little side eye and say, "Why don't you know that?" I'm all, "Why
Yeah.
don't I know that? I really should."
Yeah, no, and you're right about. I mean, I know you don't talk about any details of security, but everybody that's gone there for over more than 4 or 5 years, 10 years even, especially the way it is now, it's a closed campus. You only allow badged attendees in. You really do feel safe when you're in there. So yes, hats off, definitely the security there. It's all because of them.
Yeah.
But let me go back to that time too. Like I said, that was 85. Comic Con, the first Comic Con was in 1970. So I know you weren't there the whole time from the very, very beginning, but all of these years later, looking back now, to you, to David Glanzer, what does it mean that Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, is still considered the must attend event by both pop culture lovers, people that consume movies, the comic books, and also the creators, the filmmakers, the artists? What does it mean to you that after all these years, they still need to be at San Diego Comic Con?
You know what? I think it's that, well, a couple of things. First of all, I started attending as a volunteer. I'm sorry, as an attendee in 1978. So I had no involvement in the show, but a dear friend of mine in high school, was it high school? Maybe out after high school. I don't know. But a dear friend of mine, Allison, had said, "Hey, there's this convention in San Diego called Comic Con. You should really check it out because I loved film." And I went and I was like, oh my gosh. And I think we've talked about this before. I kind of found my tribe. And one of the great things about it was an amazing community. I think, Comic Con never set out to be the biggest or the best event of its kind. We just put on the type of event we want to, attend ourselves. We've said that before. Looking back after 40 years, um, it's amazing that we still do that. We're lucky enough now to have the relationships we do with publishers and studios and publicists and actors and stuff like that. So I think we still are proud of the show. We're grateful that the people treat Comic Con as a show that they want to attend. I think sometimes in the business aspect, it's a show they feel they have to attend. But I think they do so with some fun because we see business people who come, and by that, oftentimes I mean writers, artists, actors, producers, directors who attend the show and don't have a project. And they're not on a panel, but they attend the show to attend the show. And I think we're very grateful for that because it means that we're doing something right still. So to see that after 40 years is it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, it really is great. It's a lot of work to put it on, but there's nothing like it. There really, really is nothing like it.
Yeah, I've always described it as the Mardi Gras or the Super Bowl, even for us, for geeks who love all this. And yeah, you're right. This is Comic Con is the place where even if they don't have a panel or presenting anything, you can run into Kevin Smith. Well, usually has a panel, but Stan Lee when he was with us, he would just be there, and or a new artist or an artist from your favorite book, you happen to be there, a composer, somebody, they're going to be there just because it's Comic Con. So yes, this is definitely the place for that. But for you, what do you when you first became officially part of staff? Were you in your current title in marketing, or what position did you start in?
I was, and I don't remember my title. I think it was marketing. It may have been marketing and public relations, because at the time I really did advertising. I did press releases and support, the spokesperson, all that kind of stuff. But it really was try to promote the show. And when I started with the convention, I think I started attending. There was probably about, I want to say maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. I may have that wrong. When I started volunteering, I think it was probably that many or a little bit more. And the idea really, I was really tasked with trying to increase the attendance. And this is really true, is when I came to Comic-Con, my interest was film. And I had read Richie Rich when I was younger. I read Archie especially, but I didn't have a vast knowledge of comics. But what I discovered when I came to Comic-Con was, as much as I loved film and regarded it as art, there were people at Comic-Con who knew far more than I could ever hope to know about film noir, silent film, about films in the silent era that had no scripts, just ideas. And it was amazing to sit and chat with these people. And in the course of volunteering with Comic-Con, I started to learn more about comics and really appreciate this American art form, because it was a reflection. A lot of it was a reflection of the period of time those comics were created. whether it was the 1930s, whether it was World War II, whether it was, the Silver Age, or, I was a big history buff, and to find out that there were war comics and stuff that really there was something there for everybody, that I really, really would try to tell people what Comic Con was about, and my friends and all that. The ones who were interested would come to the convention. The ones that didn't have an interest in comics were like, well, what is it? And it was hard to explain. And I would say, you know what? Just come to the show and I think you'll like it. So we gave away, thousands of tickets to try to get people through the door. And I think they basically sold the show. They told their friends and they told their friends. So it really was a community. There's something I think for everybody. And looking back on it, when I first started, it was, how do I get people to realize what a fun and educational with a fun event it is? And hopefully we've continued that to this day.
Yeah, yeah. What you're saying, it sounds like social media before social media even existed is basically that community, what it was doing.
It really was. It's interesting because when Star Wars first came out, they came to San Diego. Lucasfilm sent a representative in 1976, a full year before the movie came out. When I started attending in 1978, I was there for Lucasfilm's 1979 presentation and the 1982 presentation. And, back then, you contacted people, you shared information with people, either in person in your city or town, or you called them on the telephone. And young people won't realize this, but you would typically call them after 7 o'clock at night because your landline telephone cost money to call out of the city or out of state, and it was cheaper at night. Or you didn't have internet, so you would send letters to each other. And it was kind of social media in a ancient form. But I got to tell you, man, when George Lucas sent down Charlie Lippincott, who was the publicist for Star Wars, in 1976, Lucas was smart enough to know what our convention and Worldcon and stuff like that were, which was a meeting of like-minded people. And he kind of tapped into social media before it existed. And, the people that he shared his vision with shared it with their friends, who shared it with more friends, and we are where we are now.
Yeah, George, he definitely knew what he was doing. So, and I think I saw you. Was it you that introduced him when he was there last year in Hall H?
Yeah, it was great. I'm as you know, and I think your listeners who've been around for a while probably know that I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I like Star Trek as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say with the Enterprise behind you, but yes,
Yeah,
you're like me. We love both for different reasons.
you can absolutely. There's no reason why you can't be multifaceted. But Star Wars is really a big love of mine, and we have something called the Icon Award. And years ago, we presented that to George Lucas for his contributions to basically related popular art. This last year was the first year he'd ever been to the show, and he was here in support of his museum that he has in Los Angeles, the that focuses on film and comics and a variety of popular art. So it was great to be able to have him at the show, and I think he had a good time, and it was neat. It was like, somebody had said it was kind of like full circle. While he wasn't here in 1976, his studio certainly was, and he's long since sold that. But it was nice that he physically could be at the show and see his thousands and thousands and thousands of fans.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask. I mean, I know it was publicized that was his first time. Was it really his first time? Because I don't know why I thought he had been to Comic Con at least once before.
A lot of people say that, and it really was. Now, um, back in the day, as I understand it, George Lucas was very, very shy. He didn't sign autographs, not because I think not because he wouldn't sign autographs, but because he didn't go to events to sign autographs. If you lived in Marin County, it wasn't unusual, as I understand it, to see him driving around, and people would sometimes honk and wave if they knew who he was, and he'd wave back. And there's a story his daughter told, years later, that they were in the car together, and he'd say to her, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know who that is. And she's all, Dad, you probably don't know him or them. They're fans of yours. And he's all, oh, well, how would they know what I look like? Again, this is years before he was really, very, very public.
Yeah.
And I think her answer was, Dad, everybody knows what you look like. But he really didn't, he didn't really promote a lot of stuff himself. He did interviews and all that, but he was fairly shy, which is why when I was able to get, a plug in here for my big poster, when I was able to get George Lucas and Marsha Lucas's autograph on my 3-sheet, that was really kind of a thing because he didn't really sign autographs. And I think he didn't start making convention appearances until maybe 20 years after that, or almost 30 years after that. So he had not been to the show before, but he certainly came to the show this year, and we tried to show him a lot of love, and I think he saw that.
Yeah, yeah, he is George Lucas is definitely on my bucket list. I think I shared this with you with the very first year that you came here. Who am I? But I've checked off a few of those in the 16 years. We can't see it, but in the studio I have a picture of Stan Lee. We became really good friends with him after a while. George is still on that list. He is definitely there. But I'm glad to say, as a little tease for all of you listening, we are on the press list for the museum that you mentioned, David. The George Lucas Museum of Art that's opening up in Los Angeles later this year. We are on the press list, so I will get to see the maker right in front of me. I was telling someone the other day, I think I've been able to compose myself when I speak to all these icons. This might be the one time where I forget what my own name is, just because it's George Lucas, and well, you know how.
No, he clearly was a visionary. It's remarkable that I think of my life in terms of BSW and ASW, before Star Wars and after Star Wars, only because I made a lot of friends after Star Wars that I'm still friends with today, some of my closest friends. He created a universe that is as popular now, if not more so, than it was, in 1977. That's really, really remarkable. And, you got to love him for that. I mean, I was watching, on YouTube, there's a trailer for Star Wars that came out, I think the summer before Star Wars broke. And it's got temp music. It's got just block lettering for the Star Wars title, not the current logo that we know. And watching that trailer catapults me back so many years to when I first saw that, and I can still get that rush, that excitement, that, oh my gosh, this is something I've never seen before. You're plopped down in the middle of the story, not knowing where it came from, not knowing where it's going. We were used to science fiction ships being futuristic, and these things were, old and worn out. And as Princess Leia said, you came in that thing, you're braver than I thought, because it looked like a piece of junk. And it was a lived-in universe. And you know what? He was a visionary who thought of that. And we all, ate it up.
Why are you involved with Comic-Con again? You sound like me in my normal conversation. Somehow Star Wars always comes up in the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but let me go back to something else. By the way, I forgot to tell you, if this sounds like, especially with the clip we started with, if this is your life, David Glanzer. I didn't mean it to be that way. It's only like that because this year at Free Comic Book Day, when we covered that and then other events that we've done since, we've met a lot of people that are going to be going to San Diego Comic-Con for the first time. Really, really excited about it with good reason. So this episode especially is for them to try to get them ready for everything that is San Diego Comic-Con, so that they don't get over. It's fun, yes, but as you know, David, it can be overwhelming for a first timer. Also, like, where do I go? Where do I see? So a lot of, and I told them, listen to this one because you'll hear a lot of what the people behind, and you're going to represent the whole team behind the organizers, what they're really like. So that's why it sounds like we're going down memory lane here. So let me one more time.
Sure, sure.
So, and you mentioned a few now, as we were talking about. So, what are some of your favorite memories from Comic Con's past?
Um, there are so many. You know what? There are so many, and sometimes I get emotional because it's so close to my heart. And I think the fans who come every year, it's very close to their heart too. And that doesn't happen all the time, right? We're very grateful and very lucky to have that kind of a connection we have to the event and to the people who attend. For me, it's really community. I mean, people that I only see once a year who we pick up as if we had never lost touch. 12 months goes by and I see them again, and it's like, hey, how's it going? And we catch up, and then another 12 months goes by. Seeing a celebrity that you really wanted to see and to have them be as cool as you expected, if not even more so. Meeting Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons, back at that convention facility from that clip, and seeing him sitting on these stairs at that Convention Performing Arts Center, and having just bought his book Life in Hell, and walking up to him and saying, Mr. Groening, can you sign my book? And he looked at me a little perplexed, and he said, yeah, because I don't know how I knew who he was. A lot of people didn't know who he was. He hadn't done The Simpsons yet. But that was a really cool experience. He wrote his name, but he also drew Binky, one of his characters at the time. Spending some time with William Shatner. William Shatner came down when he was writing it was a Tech War, I think. And he came down to promote it, and it couldn't have been a nicer guy. And we were shooting, he was there shooting a segment for Good Morning America, which at the time we couldn't afford national exposure. And he was such a nice guy. During one of the breaks, this is all taped, he said, you guys have been so nice. Is there anything I can do for you? And we're like, hey, you just being here is great. He's all, really? I'm all, you know what? And maybe I told you this before, but I said, Mr. Shatner, if you could do a segment in front of our logo, because we had a big old logo, that would help a lot. He's all, let's do it. They start rolling again. He says to the cameraman or the director, hey, can we do this over here? And they're all, of course. So we got this national exposure back in the 80s that we could never have afforded to do. And he was incredibly gracious, incredibly sweet. I remember seeing Angelina Jolie speak to the audience once, and really being amazed at not only how beautiful she was, but how kind and friendly she was to everybody. And that was really cool too. And of course, Stan Lee, you mentioned Stan Lee, there's so much I remember. I've met so many people through here. I was in Washington, D.C. for a very small event. And one night, I was with some comics creators, some artists and creators, and I don't know how I got with them. There were about three or four. And we all drove around Washington, D.C. like at midnight and went up to the Capitol. And I wouldn't have known those people if it had not been for Comic-Con and taken part in that. There's just a lot of great memories. I think, probably a lot of work also. So there wasn't a lot of time to necessarily enjoy free time, but the work was always fun too. So some of my best experiences are the team that I have on my team. And I think that's true for every department. We were talking just the other day, are you looking forward to the show? Yeah, but it's a lot of work. But what we're really looking forward to is seeing everybody have a good time and being able to be with our group. I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah, that last part. I know you introduced me a long time ago when we were back in San Francisco. I think it was actually at an Ape Expo when you guys were running that still. You introduced me to everybody at that time, so I'm familiar with the whole staff. But what I was thinking when you were saying that is you're right. It's for the attendees, and I hear a lot of stories like this, that some are lifelong friends. They met them in a line, in Hall H
Yeah.
line or in a panel or something, or they discover a new fandom because like you've said many times before, not everyone is going for the same thing. But one thing that everyone loves about Comic Con, the toxicity we hear and the negativity we see all the time online, especially, that's not there at Comic Con. There's love for everything. There's respect for everything. It's a safe space. I mean, you've said it many times. I always quote you. You like you said, it's our people. It definitely is, and that I think is what I miss the most every Comic Con. Yeah, the panels are fun and talking to the actors. Yeah, that's fun. That's cool. But it's really meeting new people, people that listeners that we meet there. They come up and say, "Hi, hey, we listen to you guys all the time." And then like you were saying about the actors, they realize, and when I'm not an actor, I'm not famous, but they realize, hey, Henry's pretty cool. He sat down and bought everybody a pizza, and we talk about Star Trek or a new comic book, or hey, tell me about this show that you're here for. And those are the lifelong memories that everybody takes away from Comic Con, other than the obvious of the panels and everything else that's there.
You know what? You're right. And I think especially for new first timers to the show, there is so much to see and do. Like you said, pace yourself. You know, think about the panels you want to see, have a backup and all that, but enjoy the company. Enjoy people who speak our language. And by that, we started our Spain show last year. We had our first Spain show. It went very, very well. There were certainly some hiccups with lines and some food stuff that they're really addressing this year. They just had a big press event um, and announcing that they've doubled the space. They're limiting the numbers to what they had last year, but they're doubling the space. Um, but one of the things I was incredibly touched by were people coming up to us and saying, "We're so glad you brought this to Spain because we've always wanted to go to San Diego and we just couldn't yet, and hopefully we can." And some of them said that in English, some of them said that in Spanish, and my Spanish is very, very bad. But one of the things I said, I think in my welcoming speech was, we may be from different countries, we may be from different backgrounds, we may speak different dialects, but we all speak the same language, and that is a love of art in its variety of forms, right? Television, film, movies, comics, anime, gaming, costuming, we speak our own language. And it's great to be able to be with thousands of people who get you. It's amazing. And it's only for those 4.5 days, and then it's gone. But it's coming back the next year, and that's a great thing to look forward to.
Yeah, that as you were describing, that actually is the same thing I saw when the World Cup was happening. Yeah, we cheer for different teams, and there's rivalries, but at the end of the day, everybody comes together for the sporting event. They cheer, and yeah, you're sad that your team lost, but hey, congratulate the other ones that are moving on. So yeah, in a smaller way, Comic Con is finally, literally living up to the international part, not just people coming here, but now Comic Con is going to them. Which, yeah, it's a great thing to hear.
Very true. And the World Cup is a great example. And I'm sure we've all seen the news stories of cities welcoming all these foreigners, and foreigners being bowled over by the friendliness. And when it comes down to it, people are people, and people I think are good and want to have a great time. And if you speak that language, I don't mean, from a certain country, but your love of whatever happens that be. It's sport, it's art, it's, whatever. There's a great camaraderie. You really know somebody knows you. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love seeing that from Comic Con, from anything, because every time I see any of that unity like that, I always think of the guy that created the starship behind you, Gene Roddenberry, what he said, and I'm sure you're familiar with what he said the day he got his star. He said, "We're young. We as a race, we're young. But when we get our act together, boy, are we going to be something." And the more I see things like that, it tells me, yep, we're on the right path. We're almost.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So let me start wrapping up. Bringing something that I did want to bring up with you. I've been meaning to actually text you about it. I wanted to talk to you about it.
Uh-oh.
But let me bring it here. It's not, well, I don't see it as bad. Well, kind of in a way. And
Uh,
that's something I don't know if you guys see this or not. This actually, I started noticing this after WonderCon this year because I'd never seen this before. They started the attendees, a lot of the vendors started reaching out to me and saying that to them, WonderCon didn't feel the same as before anymore. There weren't a lot of people. Before you say anything, I told them, and again, I don't represent you guys. I'm not part of Comic Con or WonderCon, but it's always been. I always called it my show because I've been going since I was a little kid. But I always said it looks the same to me. I mean, Friday was a little bit lighter, but as soon as the weekend came, same size crowd as always. And I think that's a thing because it's not just WonderCon. I've seen down. I guess again, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. We just had Anime Expo on Fourth of July weekend. Same thing. There's no people here, but then you see like Disneyland and Comic Con crowds put together. That's how big the crowd was. So what gives? I mean, you guys see this and
yeah,
does
we're always very, very aware of attendance and all that. We used to give attendance numbers, but we stopped doing that because invariably another convention would say, granted this was years ago, oh, we had 10,000 more than San Diego. Oh, we had 10,000 more than every year. And it's like, okay, you know what? It's not about the crowd size. It's about the people having a good time at the show. I will tell you about last year with WonderCon. We were on the same dates or very close to a couple of other conventions. I don't think that was optimal. Unfortunately, we're also a slave to um, the calendar. There is any facility has only a certain amount of weekends, right? 52 weekends per year. And there are people who want to be on a particular weekend for whatever it happens to be. And oftentimes the facility will say, okay, well, we have this date and this date open for you. You have to pick. And I will tell you, back in the 80s, we used to be with Comic Con, we used to call other conventions and say, hey, especially it was a big Chicago show, say, hey, look, our dates are these dates. We want to let you know because we're going to be very close to you. And they'd be like, we totally get it. Or if their dates were close to ours, they call us. And now there are so many conventions that it's invariable that it's to be expected, I think, that you will be close to or against another show. So I think that has an impact too. When you're looking at the economy the way it is, prices and stuff, and you formulate, will you do a convention near to home or one, in another state or across the country? That can have an impact as well. But, WonderCon, I think, was still a lot of fun. I think people had a good time. Hopefully next year it will be as exciting. And, we'll have to wait and see. But I think, we hear them. I think there's probably was a little less people on Friday. But the other days certainly seem to be pretty good. So
yeah, like I said, I mean, I saw the same on the weekend, the same crowd I've always seen at WonderCon. When people contact me about that, I told them I should have checked first. Do you still do the WonderCon talkback the
we
last time?
do, we do.
Yeah, yeah. I told
I
them.
don't think we had any questions about that. I think well, it's interesting. You can always tell how well your show does based on the questions that are asked. If people are complaining about things that are we did a bad job on, that makes perfect sense. Sometimes people will not complain, but bring to our attention stuff that we really don't have much control over. Um, but we try to listen to them and try to it's a great learning experience for us because they will tell us what worked and what didn't. So that we do talk back for both shows.
Yeah, so that's why I told people hey, if you have anything to ask, that's the place to ask them right there. Talk to
It
David
is.
directly. I think you still do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm up there.
Yeah. So the if you not just me because they for some reason I probably because you've been on the show all these years they think I have a like a bat phone to write to David's office or
Well,
something.
you do. I guess
Well,
we
yeah,
should
but
we shouldn't tell anybody that, but you do.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say
Um,
yeah, but not for that though. Just to talk Star Trek or Star Wars or something else.
it's funny. There's a well-known person within the industry, and we're friendly. And he has a blog post, and he always right about this time of year, he always says, "Yes, I go to Comic Con every year. Yes, I'm a guest. No, I don't have tickets. No, I don't know what the programs are going to be. No, he always cuts it off at the pass so that people, because a lot of people want to get inside information, and all that. And he's very good about saying, don't work for them. Don't know. My guess is as good as yours. And I try not to look at the schedule early because I don't necessarily want to know either until I can talk about it, right? Because it sucks if you know something really cool and you're like, I want to talk about it, but I can't. So that's me.
Yeah, I think that's a generational thing because I'm the same way, not about the programming schedule, but about movies. I hate this spoiler culture we
Yeah.
unfortunately live in now where we got something big like Spider-Man or Doomsday later this year, and everybody wants to know who's in it, who's gonna die. It's like, why can't you just enjoy like we used to when we went to the theater and cheered and cried and everything there?
My friend, you are far younger than I, but I will tell you, I think we're in a society, it's not a bad thing, it's just a different thing where there's a lot more instant gratification. I mean, back in the day when news would break at Comic-Con, people would run out to the either use their cell phones or run out to the payphones because we actually had payphones in the convention center to, call their editors or call their, whatever it happened to be.
Wait,
Now
wait, wait, wait,
everything is
wait.
just
It's sad that we have to do this. We have to explain to some people. Payphone is a phone that if you look at old Superman shows, what he used to go into to change, that was a payphone. You actually paid, put a quarter. I think it was a quarter. I forget how much it was.
this is before my time, but it used to be, I think, 5 cents back in the 30s and 40s. Then it was 10 cents. And I think in more recent times before they got rid of them all, I think it was a quarter.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And
so
it was,
don't.
and you paid for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, kids are wondering like, what?
Well,
I just
yeah.
give my phone, but yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
no,
Go
no,
ahead and explain it.
but it's true. And we used to have a bank of those phones that were literally hardwired to the building. And you picked it up and there was a dial tone and you would punch in the numbers of who you wanted to call. And again, if it was outside of the city, it was long distance. And you could call collect, which means the receiving caller would pick up the bill for that. And but now everything is instantaneous. It's everything is social media. Everything is, I can text you something and get an instantaneous response. Whereas before I had to call somebody's house and hope they were there. And if they weren't, leave a message on a machine or with whoever answered the phone. Um, but things are much faster now. So I think there is a desire for people to know things quickly, whether who's in this, what the outcome is of that. And that's okay. It's just, I guess progress.
Yeah, I don't get it. Again, I'm used to. I always say I use this example, and you'll understand it. I always say if the Empire Strikes Back came out today, everybody would know Darth Vader was Luke's father
Wait,
before the
what?
movie came out. We should say
Did
spoiler
you
alert
just do a
for the
spoiler? Oh my God.
yeah for the 40-something-year-old movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
um,
I don't know if I ever told you this story. If anybody who watches classic movies, my dear friends who I met through Comic-Con, we were talking about movies and all that. And my friend Shelley, she's all, well, people always spoil things uh, um, like in Citizen Kane, Rosebud is, and she said what Rosebud was, which is a big secret. And I kind of looked at her and she looked at me horrified. She said, did you know that? I'm all, I did not. And she felt horrible. But by that time, the movie was already like, I guess, 50 or 60 years old, but I didn't know.
yeah,
But, there are probably people out there who don't know some of the stuff that we know. But you know what? How exciting for them to discover it, right? When they watch the movie.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say let me end on a sort of fun one, but also informative. From you, someone who literally sees Comic Con from planning all the way to when we're all gone, cleanup, I guess we could say, when you see the whole process, to all the first timers, the first time attendees, what are some advice from you for them to enjoy Comic Con and not get overwhelmed by everything that happens there?
Well, again, you're there to have a good time, so have a good time. There are so many things to do. You may discover something new that you didn't know you had an interest in. So don't be afraid to open up your horizons. I'll also say stay hydrated, drink lots of water because it's easy to forget that. I forget that sometimes. So, wear comfortable shoes. You're going to do a lot of walking. But more importantly, make sure you stay hydrated and meet people. Chances are you're going to be in a line and people are very friendly, and find out where they're from, what their interests are, and make new friends that you may have for a lifetime.
Yeah, I can tell you, haven't been there in lines all these years. Like you were saying about George Lucas, we're all shy. I mean, I use the cameras, the Geek Speak shirts as cover, but if I didn't have those, I would be shy to talk to people too. But I'm telling all of you that are going to be there, don't be shy. Go ahead and say somebody they'll talk to you, and before you know it, like I said earlier, you're going to find you probably just made a lifelong friend at Comic-Con. So
Absolutely.
it's David Glanzer again, always kicks these off. David, thanks a lot for coming on again, and glad we could see each other and everybody else could see us this time. And hopefully we'll get to see each other sometime this week in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it. It's always great to chat with you, and I hope to see you in a couple of days.
7.
Alrighty, so there is our annual conversation with David Glanzer kicking off the Countdown to Comic-Con. As you heard us say, literally, there is something for everybody at San Diego Comic-Con. One of those things, and I always get surprised looks when I say this to people. Did you know that there is an entire film festival happening as you guys are in line for Hall H or hunting comic books or whatever you're doing, taking pictures of cosplayers? There's an entire film festival happening during San Diego Comic-Con, the entire week. Really? You didn't know that? Well, this I've actually, and I think you've heard me talk about it in the past, I've actually moderated a couple of films that screened at this festival. And this year, I'm happy to say that a guest that all of you heard way back in the beginning of the year is going to be screening at the film festival this year. That is Matt Wiatt. He's the director of SABER. You remember what? Well, you know what? I was going to tell you what it's all about, but I forget. We're doing video this time, so I can show you what it is. So this is what SABER is all about, and then we'll be right back.
I always joke that some of my best friends are the ones I trust to hit me hardest in the face, because I know they're doing it with good intent.
TSL is an organization that fights with lightsabers.
So we put on a fencing mask and armor, and we hit each other with lightsabers.
It is a group of like-minded nerds that get together to hit each other with giant glow sticks.
It's hard to look at yourself and go, yeah, I am a serious swordsman when it's a piece of plastic that lights up.
I am packing for the greatest trip of my life. Going to Vegas for the national championship. I get on a plane in 3 days.
That is your ring. She does not go anywhere you don't let her go.
We get hugs before, we get hugs after, we get hugs in the middle. It is just, no matter whether I'm losing, whether I'm winning, it is just, I love being around these people.
Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear.
So unfortunately, my dad has come down with mesothelioma, which is a terminal cancer in his case.
I just feel like I let you down, that's all.
Family. Fighting in family.
This is my family, this is my home.
It's wonderful. It's happy. It's chosen family.
I met these people that smiled at me just meeting me. When I continued to show up, they were continuing to be happy to see me.
We used to feel like we didn't have a place in middle school or high school to have that outlet. And it's become a great found family environment for everybody.
If you've got a saber in your hand, you've got a home here, you've got a part of the community.
Okay, yeah, I know. You want to watch it? Well, you can. This Thursday as we're recording this, or if you're at after Comic-Con, well, you missed it. We'll tell you at the end where you can watch it. But you can watch it for sure at Comic-Con, 7:45 p.m. in Grand Ballroom 6 in the San Diego, the Marriott Marquis, actually right behind my shoulder there, that building there, that's where it takes place. You can be there. Matt will be there also, and along with some other guests, but he's here now as a guest on the Countdown. Matt, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's so great to see you now, not just hear you. It's great to see you, Henry.
Literally see you this time.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's actually start there with you're going to be there obviously, but who else is going to
Yes,
be what other guests are coming with you to the screening?
there's going to be about I'm looking at my list now, about 4 or 5 of us there'll be participants that are going to be on the panel doing Q&A after the screening. Alec, who's one of the key people in the movie, he will be there along with Jared, Charlie, who runs the Saber Legion, and then Melody, who is in charge of the tournaments for TSL. So they'll be able to answer any questions you have about competitive lightsaber dueling because they will be there, and they'll also be there to talk about the film and just lightsaber dueling in general.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to get a lot of questions because I think I saw you like one of the posts that I put up. Fencing with lightsabers actually has been something that I've been covering on the Geek Speak show the last few weeks.
Yes.
With the league that we have over here in Buena Park. Shout out to Lightspeed Sabers. So yeah, when people see it, they actually see it in action. I know they're going to be watching the documentary in this case, but yeah, they're going to be a lot of questions.
Yep.
Let's start with this one. Actually, I mean, they saw the trailer.
Yes.
Kind of obvious what it is, but besides that, without spoiling too much, what else does the documentary show?
The documentary really shows the community of the people that are involved in the Saber Legion. And the Saber Legion is the group that we focus on. There's a bunch of different types of combat saber groups throughout the world and the United States. And the one we focus on in this film is the Saber Legion and their rule set and how they fight. But the film's really about the community of people that participate in this sport and get to know each other and sort of have a found family. That's really the core message of the film.
Yeah. So again, this is all for Comic-Con. It's going to be Thursday at 7:45 p.m. Get there a little bit earlier and stay there for all the way through the Q&A at the Grand Six Ballroom in the Marriott Marquis. That's Comic-Con. After Comic-Con, where else? If they miss it there, where else will they be able to watch Saber?
We'll be wrapping up our festival run in the next few months. We have 2 more screenings confirmed. One will be in Minneapolis, and then our next one will be in Birmingham at the Sidewalk Film Festival at the end of August. And those are the 2. And then once we do that, we'll be going into distribution, and hopefully we'll be on a platform somewhere where everyone can easily access it and watch the film. We're just film festivals. You have to do those first before you can start distribution avenues, but we will definitely have it. Our goal is to have it out there for everyone to watch in the fall for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if I asked you that last time, but yeah, I was thinking that and you answered it. You used the force and read my mind. Yeah, distribution, but yeah, you're right because film festivals, most of them have this rule that you can't try to get distribution while they're screening. It's an exclusive thing, or I don't know.
Yeah, they and I get it. They want to make it so you're their priority for the screening.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be focusing on trying to get it other places. And they want to make sure that's the only place you can watch it. So right now, if you want to watch Saber, you need to go to Comic-Con, Minneapolis, or Birmingham, Alabama in the next couple of months because they're the 3 places we'll be screening this summer for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody here, I mean, for sure. If you're gonna be there and you saw the trailer and you're getting excited about everything you hear Matt say, be there 7:45 at the Marriott Marquis, and I'll have everything on the show description. So Matt,
Perfect.
Thanks a lot. We will see you this week in San Diego. All of you be on the lookout for that. I want to probably somewhere like this have something nice background behind us, but we'll talk to everybody there, Alec and everybody else that's going to be there. So we'll talk lightsaber fencing for sure at San Diego Comic-Con too.
Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing everyone.
6.
Okay, so going on with the countdown, it's time for a little some truths, a truth that a lot of you need to know, or you first timers that are going to Comic-Con this year. There's 2 truths that I got to tell you. One of them I'm going to reveal at the end of this episode. The other one I can tell you right now, and that is, now that you know the programming, yeah, it's cool, especially the stuff in Hall H, stuff in Ballroom 20, but you may not be able to get into all of them. In fact, you're not going to get into all of them, unless, especially Hall H. I know everybody wants to be there for the Marvel panel, for Star Trek, whatever is going to be in there. But it's an adventure. I've said it many times on the shows before. It is an adventure to just try to get into Hall H, never mind getting in there. So, as you heard David Glanzer and I talk about earlier when we started this, look at the programming. Look, get alternatives. Have other places to do, other things to do, other places to visit. There's activations, all kind of stuff going on. There's booths. There's a huge cavernous exhibit room. If you've been to WonderCon, imagine that 5 times bigger. That's how big the exhibit floor is. Yeah, I know it sounds intimidating, and it could be, but there's a lot of cool things that you probably didn't even know were there. And if you don't go there, you're going to miss those. One of those I'm going to introduce you to in this segment, and that is someone that actually, those of you that listen to the show, you remember him from WonderCon. That's when I first met him, and I had him on the show. That is Jeffrey Snow. Jeffrey Snow is the founder and the lead writer of Snowstorm Comics, and also he has a booth for the first time at San Diego Comic-Con number 1531. It'll be in the description. If you forget it, don't worry about it. It'll be on there for you to remember, and it's in the programming also. But here he is now joining me to talk about what is going to be at the booth. Jeffrey, welcome. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Here you get to tease, or you can tell them everything that's going to be there. When people go to the booth number 1531 again, what are they going to see there? They're going to see you, obviously, but who and what else are they going to see at the Snowstorm Comics booth?
So you will see, of course, I, as well as another individual. This is for the first time that we're going to have my brother with me. So yeah, we're going to have all 3 issues of Rise of the Nephilim Standard Edition, issue 1, 2, and 3. We're going to have, of course, the variant editions for Rise of the Nephilim, issue 2 and 3. For those who weren't able to get it because it was sold out, we were able to get more in stock, specifically for the Tehani Farr cover that seems to sell extremely well because, of course, she's a very talented artist. And then we're going to have some exclusive print that you can only find at San Diego Comic-Con, and a reveal of a brand new comic book series that you could be able to follow first. That's going to be debuting on Kickstarter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad. I was going to stop you. I'm glad you stopped because I was going to say save it for the Geek Speak Treats episode.
Yeah, of course.
That will do all of that. But seriously, for this week, you can meet Jeffrey. You can meet everybody, really, and see, like I said, or you want original stories? Right there, Snowstorm Comics. The booth, again, 1531. We have it down in the description. Jeffrey will, I know it gets crazy, but I'm going to try to make my way over there and say hi. Maybe now that you said that your brother's going to be there, now you had to get the 2 of you on camera.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to put Rise of the Nephilim in full display. I promise we are actually simple. I know we gonna look very different, but I guarantee you we are actually simple. So we would love to have that in there, talk about our San Diego Comic-Con experiences, and then tell you, of course, about our products. Like, you'll be able to see when you're there. We're a big fan of what we're portraying and what we're displaying, and our comic books itself is I always tell folks this is just $5 for the standard editions, literally cheaper than a caramel frappuccino. And so once when people hear that, people are already like, okay, let me go ahead and give this a shot. So, we always love to have our stuff be as accessible as possible and get to a wide audience as possible.
I mean, you say frappuccino, but really it's 2026. It's cheaper than a lot of things nowadays, quite honestly. So again, it's Jeffrey Snow. Jeffrey, thanks a lot for coming on, and we will see you sometime this week in San Diego.
See you soon.
5.
So those are 2 things that you guys can do that are not panels. You can watch a movie. You can go to a booth. Now let's start talking about the panels. You heard David Glanzer in the beginning tell you, make some plans. We have some alternatives because I know all of you want to go to Hall H and Ballroom 20. Chances are you're probably not going to get into both of them. You definitely can't get into both without cloning yourself. You can't get into both of them. So you're going to have some alternatives. Let's start with not 1, not 2, 3 alternatives on this very segment. They all have one thing in common, though. That's Amy Linsamouth. She is a writer primarily. She's definitely one of us. She speaks a lot of these events like San Diego Comic-Con. And now she can add guest on the Countdown to Comic-Con episode as she joins me for the countdown. Amy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. How are you, Henry?
Doing good. I don't know how it is for you. We're like days away. This is usually the question I ask everybody. Are you ready? Are you packed? Are you ready for San Diego week?
It's like all these hats right now, and it's like thrown up in the air and have to catch them all. And hopefully I can juggle, but we're getting there. It's happening.
Yeah. So let's actually start with, we can go through the entire week actually, because you're going to be doing something every single week. So let's go in order. Let's go with day 1, Thursday. That's going to be the Creators Symposium that you're going to be on. Talk about that one. What's that panel going to be about?
Oh, so that one, that one is special to me because I'm at table H10 and I'm right next to Women in Comics Collective International. And Regine runs this incredible nonprofit and we're neighbors. And last year we did this panel, and now we're doing it this year. And she's the one that's putting it all together, hosting it, and she's just so incredible. So basically, it's called a Creator Symposium, as Henry stated, and it's on Thursday, July 23rd, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., room 23 ABC. It's about just like the artistic and informative initiative, like what are we going to choose as a project, and what do we want to highlight, what do we want to craft, especially for marginalized voices when it comes to women, and then, queer and color, and like what we're doing with comics and multimedia, and just like also we're talking about just like during the height of COVID and what we were doing during that time, and how we were able to keep growing and thriving in this like ever-changing industry. So we have Shawnee Gibbs, who's going to be there, who wrote for Ghost Rose, Joe Illidge, who is behind Nor is the New Black, season 2, and me, and Morgan Hampton of Green Lantern Corps, and Alice Michi Lee from Rebel Moon, who's the cover artist, and Asia Simone of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur fame, and moderated by the Regine L. Sawyer, who is also the Wink founder and who put it all together.
And by the way, for all of you, if you're trying to write it down or scrolling back, where is it? Don't worry about it. We got you. It's in the description, the times, the rooms, everything will be on there. So just sit back, listen to Amy, because on Friday you're going to be where? On what panel?
On Friday, which is before the big weekend and everyone's getting off work, we know. So on Friday, I'll be at Pro Writers. Ask me almost anything. Don't ask me about the meaning of life, but just ask me almost anything. So that's Friday, 4:30 to 5:30, room 24 ABC. And it is run by Neil Edmond. And that one is going to be about, if you're dreaming, this is more of a how-to, like if you're dreaming a career as a professional writer, if you're into just like screenwriting, animation, video games, comics, whatever, prose, this is a great group where we're just kind of going to lay out our foundation and how we built our careers, and also how we found like representation, indie, branding, marketing, crowdfunding, and how convention sales, what we, not really like KPI or anything like that, but just like how we're trying to like market ourselves when it comes to convention sales. And we're just going to talk about various topics that you want to bring to the table. And it's very interactive and it's super hands-on. So we're relying on the crowd for just what they want to talk about mostly. And if you even need an agent, I don't have an agent, but I know the other panelists do. Is Amazon a good opportunity? Is it a challenge or a trap? And we all have our stories with Amazon. So we all have lots of that. But it's going to be right there. And the panelists include Neil Edmond, who is also our host, not the moderator, but the one who put it all together, who's behind Power Rangers, Red Riding Alpha, Huntress Chronicles, and Brian Friemuth of Fallout, Epic Mickey 2 fame, Melissa Flores, who is incredible, behind Power Rangers, Spider-Gwen Smash, and Dr. Harry Clore of Star Trek Quantum Quest fame, and Francesca Leah Block, who is behind House of Hearts, Weetsy Bat, and me, and then moderated by Professor Adira Edmond, who is behind Terra Tarot and Red Riding Alpha Huntress Chronicles.
Now let's go to Saturday, and this is the one where we were talking about. David Glanzer was talking about it. I was talking about it the last couple segments. I know everybody wants to go, now that you know what the programming is, everybody wants to go to Hall H and see the Star Trek and the Marvel panel and everything that's going to, the Apple panel is going to be there on Saturday also. But like I said, chances are pretty good, unless you're willing to go through that adventure called the Hall H wait line, you're probably not going to get in there. So Amy's going to be on a panel on Saturday. In fact, right before all that stuff happens, right in that building right over there behind me. What's the panel that you're going to be on Saturday at 5 p.m.?
So the one at 5, it's a panel that we also did during WonderCon, and it was so successful. The room was pretty much full, And it was hosted by Marcus McNeil of Odyssey Comics, editor-in-chief sort of background. And he's great. He's like the visionary founder behind Odyssey Comics. So he wanted to put together a group of people that he's worked with and also other people that are just, in like a colleague network sort of thing, and put us all together. And it was just really cool of him to just like make this whole like level up, taking your comics to the next tier, like very specific. So this one is how to more detailed and just breaking down how to make your comics stand out and what editors are looking for in terms of good ideas and great projects, and why some comics fall short, even though there's like great writing and then there's great art. And then we're just talking about clarity and intent when it comes to your work and how to put together your creative team, and then also how to work with your editor without losing yourself in the work and in the collaboration. And also making sure that your project stands out and it just becomes more distinct. And this one I'm very excited for because this one has a whole PowerPoint and everything. You can take pictures and you can just ask us right away as you're learning. And Marcus is just so great. And he also brought in Rob, Pill Kilton, and April Connors, and Joshua Pruitt, and me. I'll be there. So this one, it's not a big panel like the previous panel we talked about, because that one's more just like, hey, we're going to engage with everyone. This one's more like we're on the go. We're going to be super fast. So bring your notebook and bring your pen or pencil, whatever you want to write with. I like pen to paper. I feel old school like in that way, but you can bring a tablet, whatever you want, and just take down these ideas and just utilize them. And then after the convention spree of chaos, you can just go back home in your office, wherever you love writing, and just, absorb it. So yeah, this one's a really educational one. So we have different levels.
Now, like I said, I have all the links for everything on the show description. So, Amy, I have everything on there. We hopefully, I know we gets crazy, we'll be busy. Hopefully, we'll get to see each other. Maybe if there's time, we'll do an on camera over there, just to say hi and tell people like, hey, I'm here. We're here. But you're welcome back on the show anytime, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. Oh, all the virtual hugs to you and the team. So thank you. Thank you, the geekspeakshow.com. Check them out.
4.
All right, so like I said, this year you can actually see the Countdown to Comic-Con episode. But for this one, we're going to be at the Hideout. You've heard the commercial during this whole thing. You've heard it leading up to, and the episodes leading up to this. So now we're at the Hideout, and if we're at the Hideout, this guy is usually right next to me. Is usually there. It's Funky Garcia. How you doing, Funky?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So this is a Countdown to Comic-Con. Like I said, everybody that's on this episode is because they're going to be at a Comic-Con on a panel or doing something. So if Funky is here, that means you're on a panel. Not only is he on a panel, you're moderating the panel.
I know I'm a first timer. I moderated a panel at the Mola Museum in Long Beach, and that was kind of our stepping stone to get into San Diego Comic-Con this year. So I'm really excited. We got a good crew. We'll be there Friday, 6 p.m. at room 32AB. Had to remember that.
Yeah, we'll put everything down below for you guys. But what's the panel going to be about?
It's called Unmasking, Cultura, Latino Legends in Cosplay. So it's pretty much just how we put our culture into this nerd culture, that like combination, and like all the good we do in the community with it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of that. It's not just Namor, you guys saw him in Black Panther. It's not just that. There's a lot of stuff that there's other original characters. We've seen some over the years covering Comic-Con, WonderCon, all the other conventions. Our people, they have a lot of imagination. There's a lot of stories from our culture that we can draw on. That's I'm assuming that's what you guys are going to talk about on the panel.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. You gotta come through to find out.
Yeah, so usually we don't. You're a first timer for this one too. We usually don't give out the entire panel. We just tease and give them a reason because I mean, he's it's not his the first time moderating the panel, but it's not your first time at a Comic-Con, right?
Oh no, yeah, I've been lucky enough to go to San Diego for the last 5 years, but I'd always be at WonderCon and Anime Expo. I love conventions.
Yeah, yeah, and in just a second, the next segment, we're gonna do a Comic-Con 101 because we learned at Free Comic that we met a lot of people who are going for the first time. So actually, let's have you start that. As someone who's been to Comic-Con a few times, what would be 2 pieces of advice for a first timer?
Definitely take advantage that you could bring backpack with like snacks and drinks, because convention food prices and drink prices are ridiculous. Bring plenty of water, especially if it's in the summer, because it's hot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one. Pull out cash ahead of time, because also the ATMs are it's like $30 to pull out anything.
Yeah. Well, that and like everything at Comic-Con, line to be in the line, to see if you can be in the line, to be in the line.
Wear comfy shoes.
Yeah.
It's like, I got my Docs, but I got like double insoles in it. I'm stepping on clouds.
Yeah, you're going to hear me say that a lot. A lot of people say that a lot. Comfortable shoes. So there you go. So again, one more time, tell them where the panel, what time and what room?
Oh, yeah. We're going to be there Friday night, 6 p.m. at room 32AB. And it is Unmasking Cultura, Latino Legends in Cosplay.
And I know you don't have the info in front of you, but let me put you on the spot as moderator. Who are the panelists?
Oh, the panelists. Okay, yeah, we got Batman Sai. He runs. He's one of the founders of Cosplay for Kids. It's an organization. They do all kinds of great fundraisers and different events for all the kids. They do pop-ups like everywhere. We got our own Profe Chicano Batman. Our own Chicano Batman. He does like variations of Batman.
Was it in the news in Mexico just not too long ago?
Well,
that was another one.
I don't know. I can't give away his identity.
Yeah, secret identity.
Nancy Gonzalez. She is a fashion designer, and she used that to pretty much get into cosplay and do all kinds of variations. She does a great Poison Ivy and Hot Girl and many, many more. We also have Noemi Rios. She's a photographer. So that's how she kind of got into it as well. She was taking photos of cosplayers and then got into it herself. And then Bruce Prop Designs. Bruce Props. He does all kinds of different cosplays and props. He does commissions. He does a killer Batman Iron Man mashup. It's all foam, so it's like lightweight, but it looks great.
I'm assuming they're going to be in cosplay on the panel.
I believe.
Wait, you'll have to go to the panel and find out if you want to know.
True. First timer here.
That's okay. When is it? Friday again?
Friday, 6 p.m. Room 32AB.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make any promises. You know how crazy it is, but I'm gonna try to be in there and heckle you a little bit for your first time.
Oh,
so be there for that. Don't heckle him though, but I'll do that. But be there. We'll have all the info again on the description for all you guys. Funky, thanks a lot, and we will see you in San Diego.
I'll see you there.
3.
So we got another panel that I want to talk to you about. I know we've been talking panels the last few seconds, but this one is actually kind of a special one. Because, well, I'm not going to tell you all the details. We'll get into it as we go along. But those of you that are listening, that have been listening for a long time to the Geek Speak Show, you're going to be familiar, and you are familiar with Hero Within and Tony Kim, of course. So you're familiar with the story, what's been happening, and he's got some great news, actually, to share with all of you, and I'm sure that'll be happening at the panel that we're going to talk about. So joining me, we had David Glanzer on earlier. He kicks off all these Countdown to Comic-Con episodes. It also is not a countdown episode without Tony Kim. So here's Tony. Tony, how are you? Welcome back.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Doing great. I was actually going to start with a congratulations to you and to the team. But before we go there, if anyone watching us or listening to us isn't familiar with the Hero Within story, let's go back actually 11 years ago, before the birth of Hero Within. What was the idea, and how did Hero Within become a reality?
Yeah, I was just like everyone listening, like a hardcore San Diego Comic-Con fan. So every year I would go, and those last couple years, around 11 years ago, I started cosplaying, and so I was cosplaying. I was taking the Warner Brothers bags, the swag bags, and converting them to cosplay, jackets and outfits and that kind of thing. And so it was really popular. Everyone loved it, sort of the mashup of like all these logos and whatnot into, these jackets. And so one year, it's 2015, I thought, you know what, instead of making just another swag bag cosplay, maybe I should make something that's more like everyday, something that you could wear, that's something that's actually a merging of both everyday wear and your sort of favorite fandoms. So that was kind of the genesis. I thought of the name Hero Within. I started promoting in 2015. I said, hey, I'm going to be wearing this Superman themed blazer. And I think this, I'm going to call it Hero Within. And I think it's, if it's something that resonates with you, let me know. And who knows, maybe someday it could turn into something, and that was 2015. And then it really took off. And that in conjunction with me getting laid off at work, that later that year, I thought, you know what? Maybe this is it. Maybe this is what the universe is calling me to create pop culture apparel. So we officially launched in 2016, and 2016 Comic-Con was our kind of coming out party. So that was how it all happened. And Comic-Con really is sort of interwoven in our story as we celebrate 10 years.
Yeah, I was smiling as you were saying that, telling that story, because I remember actually, and you obviously you remember this also. That way back when you first started doing the Game of Bloggers meetups.
Yeah,
I remember. I think it was either the first or the second one.
Yep.
You had, I think, one or two pieces of clothing. I don't even remember if Hero Within was an actual thing or was just like you were saying, just
it
an
was.
idea.
That was a launch year, and we didn't have a booth or anything, but at the Game of Bloggers party, I had like 4 or 5 just pieces, samples. That was it.
Yeah. I remember all of that. That was a while ago. And
yeah.
I think we've talked about this in the past before, but again, for people that are finding about it for the first time, why Hero Within? What does that name mean?
Yeah, I think as I kind of look back at my own sort of journey and the journeys of my peers, I realized that pop culture and comic books and superheroes and sci-fi and all that is so much more than just entertainment. I think it's something that resonates with each of us, because that sort of that idea that there's a hero inside all of us, that we can be better, that we can be inspirational, that we can change lives. And so I wanted to, when I launched Here Within originally, even though we've kind of gone from like DC and Marvel and Doctor Who and Star Trek and all that stuff, regardless of the IP that we're working with, I always wanted like the core, the sort of spirit of it to be that there's a hero inside all of us. And so called it Here Within, kind of simple. And, it's kind of fun because, again, when we launched 10 years ago, you pick names, you just really have no idea how they'll age over time. And that's been one of the consistent things that our fans have said over the decade has been how much they love that name, because it's just simple and just reminds us every time you put on one of our jackets. I just want it to be a reminder that, hey, you can be a hero to somebody today.
Yeah, and the name just rolls off the tongue. Hero Within. And yeah, as a lot of us have found out in real life, heroes don't necessarily always wear capes. So yeah, you're right. We do all have a hero within us somehow. The last, what is it, 6-7 years almost, it's been, and yeah, that's the reason why I'm wearing this shirt, specifically the Star Trek license that you've had. So tell that story, how you got Star Trek and where we are now today.
Yeah, I have always been, my first love has been Star Trek. And so ever since one of my youngest memories growing up is my brother introducing me to Star Trek, the original television show, and then the movie came out and all that. So I've been a hardcore fan ever since I was a little dude, and so it's always been a dream to be able to work and create apparel for a franchise that I love so much. And so how we came across Star Trek was a little bit random, though, because we were doing DC and Marvel is kind of during the end game era for Marvel, so all the focus and attention was on the Avengers and all that. And I was at a licensing expo in Las Vegas, and I came across, just sort of randomly met the apparel person at Paramount. And so we just sat down and talked, and so she was really excited, and she invited us to come aboard. And back in 2019, there wasn't much happening for Star Trek. It was very, it had been a very long, sort of quiet period for Star Trek. And then the pandemic hit, so then really nothing was happening. And so it was a couple years until we really started getting off the ground with Star Trek. And eventually, it soon became our main focus, which has been a really just thrilling sort of experience. And so I just have loved not only working with Paramount, but also focusing on Star Trek fandom. And as we've kind of seen the past few years, there's been sort of a renaissance with Star Trek, with Star Trek Picard and Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks and everything that has come out. So it's been a really fun adventure to be able to create for sort of a new generation of fans as well. And so then just recently in 2025, our contract was concluding, and then there was also it sort of crossed with the unfortunate timing is that it crossed with the Skydance merger of Paramount. And so when that happens, like contracts change and personnel change and all this stuff changes. And so what they were able to offer us was just not financially possible for us. And so we unfortunately had to conclude our contract with Star Trek, which was just super at the end of 2025, which was just super devastating. We had really poured everything we had into Star Trek, and again, it was something that I felt like, as difficult as it was, I was like, maybe there's still a possibility, maybe there's hope out there. So this year, we were contacted by Paramount,
Tony,
another division of Paramount. Yeah.
You could have easily said you like to think there were always possibilities.
Yeah, I was thinking it. I was thinking it, but yeah. As Spock has said before, or he has said, I've been dead before, and I started working with another division of Paramount that said, hey, we have an idea. Why don't you come join us on this side of the toy division and partner with another brand, Factory Entertainment, and basically become a sub-licensee to Factory Entertainment. So I'm good friends with Jordan and those guys over at Factory, and they make props and replicas, and a lot of Star Trek props and replicas, as well as other franchises. But they're very popular in the Star Trek community. And so we figured out how to do a sub-license deal. It's taking much longer than expected, so it's been a kind of a few months in development. And I know our fans have been frustrated because we've been so kind of quiet and we haven't been able to talk much about it. But just this past week, we finally got approved, and we're officially back on board Star Trek for this for a calendar year, and we are super excited to be able to rejoin the Star Trek community. It's the timing of it is definitely a little stressful because we're on the eve of Comic-Con, which means that we had to sort of mad dash preparations to have the booth ready, and we're trying to get all of not only our old products approved, but then we're trying to get some new products approved as well. And so, at the time it's recording, we're still not even sure what we'll have available, what's happening exactly as far as merchandise offered at Comic-Con, but we'll be there, just like Scotty pulling the Enterprise together in Star Trek the Motion Picture. She'll launch on time. We may end up sort of in a weird wormhole and and crash into an asteroid, but we'll be ready, and we'll have something there at the show.
Yeah, I think all they notice is that Hero Within is back. That's all that matters at the end of the day, really, honestly. Speaking of you're back, this was already planned before this news. You can have a panel for the 10th anniversary of Hero Within. at Comic-Con this week. So talk about the panel, who's going to be on it, what's it going to be all about?
Yeah, so man, I can't believe it. As we were talking about 10 years, it just has flown by. Like, it just feels like we launched just a few years ago. And today on our Instagram, we posted like a little walk through memory lane of some highlights from each of the years. And yeah, I just can't believe that all that has happened in just 10 years. And so Comic-Con was so gracious to grant us an anniversary panel where we can just celebrate everything that has happened over the course of the decade. And we'll be kind of sharing our story, some of the highs, lows, the ups and downs, a lot of the like stories that people have not seen or heard, the behind the scenes stuff, the close calls and near misses, and the big successes and the huge failures, and just all the things that a team has to go through in order to last 10 years. And so I think it's going to be not just an inspirational panel, but just a fun panel. It's going to be celebratory, and we'll be really there to just honor not just the IPs that we've worked with, but the fans. The fans have really are the reason why that's gotten us through a decade, and so we're really going to honor fans. So of course, I'll be there sharing, kind of facilitating it, and then Trevor Kaihai, my operations guru, he'll be there. Liz Duckworth, my sales ninja, she's basically been with our team the whole time, leading our sales team, will be there, and then Amy Hypnorowski will be there as well. And so yeah, it's going to be great. And then we're also going to do some giveaways. And so we're going to have some rare and hard to find items that we'll be giving away as prizes. And so, if you come to our panel, then maybe you'll be the recipient of just things that are out of circulation or things that no one has ever seen. And so we're excited to do some giveaways to our attendees.
So again, Tony Kim, he's got like I said, a very special 10-year Hero with an Anniversary panel. I have all the info down below. The booth number 1943, that's also below in case you guys forget. As always, all of you watching, if you're watching us, if you listen to the audio only version, we're gonna have a special segment, because this year, especially when we covered Free Comic Book Day earlier this month, I met a lot of first time attendees. There's gonna be a lot of first time attendees going to Comic-Con this year. So just for them, on the audio only version, Tony's going to do something special for you in the last segment. And if you're wondering like where to go, again, the panel, the booth, and especially if you're a Star Trek fan, there's a reason for you to go to that booth. You'll see what I mean. Maybe, like Tony said, maybe there might be too much, but you're going to be anxiously waiting for when there is more stuff. So Tony, as always, thanks for coming on, and again, congratulations to you and the team. Glad that Hero Within is going to go on. And we'll see you in San Diego in a couple of days.
Great. Thank you, Henry, and Geek Speak Show. Thank you.
Alrighty, so let us now talk about another panel that you can go to. Like I said, you've got to have alternatives, because it's a fact. You're not going to get into Hall H or all the big ones. I know you want to go there. They sound exciting and fun, but it's a fact of Comic-Con. You're not going to be able to get into every single one of them. Good thing is, like I've been saying this whole time, there's something for everybody at San Diego Comic-Con. And one of these panels is the one I'm about to tell you right now. It actually features another friend of mine that all of you have heard on the show before, Amin Amat. This time you're going to get to see him, not just hear him. The last time he's come on, he's talked about his graphic novel, The Road to Oz. This time, we want to talk about it a little bit, but we're going to talk about a panel that he's actually on that, well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you because, like I said, here is Amin. Amin, good to see you. Really see you this time.
Yeah. You got a face to the name this time around.
Yes.
Not that it's going to make it any easier to spot me in the crowds at San Diego, but it's hopefully I'm tall enough that I can be easily spotted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with that, I mean, you've been there before, and then anyone that's been there knows that you can be jumping like, I'm here. Like there's a sea of humanity there. There's a lot of I'm here's over there.
Even the Groots get lost, which I thought was it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So like I said, this time you're not gonna. Well, you probably will take the Road to Oz, have it with you, but you're actually on a panel that, well, you tell them what it's all about. What's the panel going to be?
Yeah. So the panel is you got comics in my games, you got games in my comics, and pretty much what the panel is going to be talking about the intersection between comics and games in terms of how you interact with with your characters and players, because one thing that before we had that clear separation, there were characters that were only in games, and then there were characters that were only in comics. And nowadays, think Fortnite, for example, there's a lot of sort of cross-pollination of characters from one medium to the other. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that, exploring about the past, present, and even the future of and what that means in terms of just for games and comics.
Yeah, because when you guys look at the description, it says that the days when those two are separate are over, and it's true. It really is. Fortnite is a perfect example, but there's so many examples of other games, other mediums where it isn't frowned on. It's frowned on if they don't cross over. Actually, is where we are right now. So yeah, a timely panel. Now you're going to be on it, of course. Who else is going to be on the panel with you?
Yeah, so we're going to have James Sanderson, Tim Shields, Hannibal Tabu, and myself, and Joel Selner, and then the moderator is Rick Hernandez, which he was the moderator on the panel I did last year as well. So great guy, and at least from what I've been told about some of the other people that I'll be with, like great crew, great smarts. So I think it'll be an interesting and very fun conversation that we'll have that day. So Saturday, 12 to 1, before the chaos really starts. So it'll be a nice way to kind of start your day at San Diego Comic-Con.
But if you want to meet Amin and ask him for the road to Oz, again, for sure, Grand 10 and 11 at the Marriott Marquis on Saturday at 12 p.m. He will be there on the panel. You got comics. Oh, you got comics in my games. You got games in my comic. That'll be there. And so, Amin, thanks a lot for coming on. We will hopefully we'll see each other in San Diego this time.
Yeah, well, we have to. We so we should probably coordinate for
that. yeah, no excuse. We know what we look like now.
Yeah, for sure.
One.
All right, everybody. So it feels like we already went to Comic-Con and came back. I told you these are always long, especially you first timers. These are long episodes because we just talk about everything, and you never know where it's gonna go. Kind of like Comic-Con, as you've discovered by now. So again, this final segment is just for you first timers. We met a lot of you at Free Comic Book Day and some other events that we've done since. Everybody excitedly came up to me. We're going to Comic-Con for the first year. You've been there a lot of times. What can you tell us? And remember what I said. Listen to the Countdown to Comic-Con episode. This is it. This segment is for you, especially for you. So I'm not going to do it by myself. You see a special guest there. That is Aurelia. Aurelia, you may be following her. If not, you need to. You're going to. I have it on the show description. Aurelia's .adventureland on Instagram. Aurelia, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and talk about one of our favorite topics.
Yeah, well, this came up, what I'm about to tell you, came up in a couple of the interviews, because some people it's their second time going, some it's their third time. They said, I feel like a vet, but I said, and any Comic-Con vet, you know this, you're not officially a vet, Comic-Con vet, until about your third or fourth one. The first one, it's just like, oh my God, this is so big, it's so cool. The second one, you kind of know what to expect. The third one, you know how to get around the hiccups or anything going on. By the fourth one, you got it down. You're a vet by then. So your first one, you know what Comic-Con was, but your actual first one was last year. So let's go, before we get into this year, let's go back to that. What made you, silly question, what made you want to go to Comic-Con? It's Comic-Con. Why wouldn't you want to go to Comic-Con? What made you want to finally go to San Diego Comic-Con last year?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned before, there's so much going on at Comic-Con. And I really think that the process starts with the tickets. I think the ticket process has always intimidated me, especially in this day and age. It's impossible to get tickets. So last year, it was honestly luck. I've been following updates through Comic-Con throughout the years. And then last year, I had a friend who was able to secure me a ticket through I would consider to be a vet. So he knew how to lock him down and was able to get me one. So I was able to go for the very first time last year. That's kind of how I arrived. And of course, there's an easy answer to the why is it's freaking San Diego Comic-Con. And especially coming out of, let's see, last year was 2025. So the 2024 year with the announcement of Doomsday, I kind of just had my sights set on being there at some point. So yeah, I'm a big Marvel fan myself, and
Well, yeah,
I think
I'm laughing at that because yeah, you're right. Yeah, everybody saw. We were actually there in Hall H when the reveal happened. So yeah, like a lot of people were thinking like you. Well, I'm gonna go next year and miss it. Then Marvel wasn't there the following year.
right. Yes, but there is always so much going on around the area. So there's still ways, I think, to immerse yourself in the Marvel fandom without even Marvel being there, which I think is fun. And that's just one fandom. There's still so many other franchises.
Yeah, yeah, and I know all of you watching, especially you longtime Geek Speak listeners. Now you're thinking, oh, so that's why he's following her because she's a Marvel fan like me. So yeah, that's part of it. But that again, go to her Instagram, you'll see why she does a lot of amazing things. Now, did you go the whole week or just one day
last year? I just went one day.
Okay. Well, even for one day, how soon did you know that you were going to go to Comic-Con before Comic-Con happened?
Was a few months beforehand.
Okay, perfect.
I don't remember the exact timing, and I think I know where you're going to go with this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, imagine for people that are going to go there the entire week, but really, how soon is too soon or too late to start getting ready, packing, and getting ready for San Diego Comic-Con, in your opinion?
It's a great question. I think there are levels to this question. In terms of outfit planning, packing, I think you can't start that kind of thinking too soon. I mean, there's a span of different things that you can prepare for. If you're like me, I love fandom subtle styling. So I'm always thinking through how I can incorporate my favorite characters into my outfit. So that kind of stuff, I'm thinking of months in advance. When it comes to the actual events, activations, panels, things like that, all of that isn't really released up until a few weeks prior. So it's really like the month of July, you're doing your research, reading through the blogs, trying to figure out what is going on during that week and kind of putting together an informal, I'll call it, plan from there. But in terms of thinking about what your weekend is going to look like, I think come January 1st, it's a new Comic-Con year and my mindset's already there. Whether or not I'm actually inside of the convention center or just participating in the surrounding areas, I think it's never too early to start thinking about it. But in terms of putting a day of plan together, it's really the weeks leading up.
Yeah, this is why you're also the perfect person to talk to about this because yes, there's cosplayers. That's an adventure in itself. Getting everything that whatever they like last year. I don't know if you couldn't have missed him. There was a huge life-size Galactus walking around. So you imagine what it took for him to pack all that stuff. But there's the cosplayers. If you're gonna cosplay that's a whole thing right there. But like you were saying, if you're going to go there, especially if you're going to go there for the entire week, I'm assuming you've been to not Comic-Con, but just to San Diego, the city you visited before, and you know what the weather is like and everything. Because you got to think about that, the weather. Like, what am I going to wear for San Diego weather?
Definitely, yeah. I'm familiar with San Diego. I've been a few times, and it gets a little tricky because the convention center morning of, I mean, you can kind of feel the AC running a little bit better. By the afternoon, it's completely packed, so it may as well just be San Diego in the convention center as well. So packing, even just for a day, I didn't stay in San Diego last year. I just brought my car and filled it with what looked like I was staying for the weekend because I like to be prepared for different temperatures. So the mornings are definitely cooler in San Diego. The heat rolls in really fast. When you're walking from convention center to different activations, restaurants, events, things like that, you definitely feel the heat. So I went with like a little subtle Lady Death outfit in the morning, started just completely covered in black. And by the afternoon, I knew that was going to be a choice. So I brought just a t-shirt, something really simple, comfortable to change into. sneakers. I started the day in boots because, again, I just like to dress and lean into that side of me, but I know that's not something that I last in all day. And then, of course, come the evening when the sun goes down and the Pacific Ocean breeze rolls in, it's a completely different temperature. So then again, you're going back to how can I keep myself comfortable, and putting those layers back on was really important. So thinking through, different temperatures is really important. If you have a car, I think it's really easy to keep things in the car. Otherwise, I'm also a proponent of keeping a backpack with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned something important there. Like you said, you wore those boots. You all of you that have been listening to me, this is going to be my 13th, 14th time going to Comic-Con. You've heard me say it all those years. The guest said it, David Glanzer, on this very one. He organizes Comic-Con. He said it earlier in this episode. Comfortable shoes. That's the most important part. I mean, I know it was part of your outfit, but now that you've actually been on the ground, literally, would you agree? Comfortable shoes are necessary.
Absolutely. Like walking in boots. I reach my limits though. So I think definitely, especially, I cannot stress enough, and I know we'll probably get into it, but when you're walking not only around the convention center, but across San Diego to get to different activations and pop-ups, comfortable shoes are going to be your best friend.
And the one day you went last year, what day was it? Friday, or when was it?
I went on Friday.
Okay. If anybody's wondering, I'm sure you are, because again, it's your first time going. If you're going preview night, you can get there early. There'll be a line around 2, sometimes 12, really, not to get in. You can't go in the convention center yet. Some of the activations are open. They're actually open the week before, so you can go to those if you want. But around 2, 3 o'clock, you're going to see a long line coming in. You follow that line because that's where you're going to pick up your badge if it wasn't shipped to you. So once you have that, you get the bag, you get the lanyard, everything else. From that point, kind of like you, how do you not get overwhelmed? Because okay, now you've got your badge, you got everything ready to go. Let's go to Comic-Con, and then there's Comic-Con. There's like 20 million things happening at once. How do you decide what you do first?
That is a great question. I think the nerves and getting overwhelmed is something you can't really control, especially in that environment. I am someone who likes to get a lay of the land. So I think knowing the schedule in advance is definitely important, especially if there's something that you want to go to first thing in the morning. You kind of have to prepare for that. Prepare for that a little bit with more thought. But I like to just get in there and familiarize myself with the convention center. You mentioned Galactus, and he was very hard to miss, but I think that just seeing things like that is going to already throw you off a little bit. So I think just making sure that you feel comfortable with your surrounding is probably going to be your first priority. And the exhibition room itself is incredible. You have full long-term brands who are going in there. You also have local artists and people who are just starting up with their art journey. So I think that in itself is really incredible to see. And I think going around and starting with some of those little tables, I think is a way that helped me get a little bit more comfortable with, okay, wow, I'm here and there's hundreds, if not thousands of people surrounding me, and there's so much to do, yet I don't even know where to start. But I think just kind of talking to some of the people who have been there, setting up, working for their art, and bringing it to life at Comic-Con was a good starting point.
Yeah, I don't know if you experienced this, but I will say there is also the other side of that where, you want to meet some of the artists, that you want to talk to their tables. This is San Diego Comic-Con, not WonderCon or one of the smaller ones. Security will tell you got to keep moving, got to keep it moving, got to keep it moving. You can't stand for too long. Then there's also the like the Marvel, the Lego booths, the Disney booths, all the big studio booths. DC is there, and it's not unusual that you're trying, like you said, you're trying to get your lay of the land, and all of a sudden there's like, well, you're not allowed to run, but they're briskly walking towards a booth because the cast of Doomsday, the cast of Vision Quest, or the cast of whatever new DC show or some new Warner Brothers show or movie or stuff, they all show up there and everybody wants to get a picture, and it's just crazy. So I always say San Diego Comic-Con is a place where you need to accept FOMO because you are going to miss out on a lot of things. Because think of it, while things are happening in Hall H, there's hundreds of other things happening at the same time at the convention center or offsite. So without cloning yourself, you're just not going to see everything. That's why I always like to ask first timers, like, how did you make your way through all that mess? I always say you got to be like the Exorcist, your head spinning around. It's like, look at that, look at this, look at that, look at that. One thing I will say, and let's see if you agree, the battery chargers, get a lot of those because you will run out for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. And that is a good point. You do have to be comfortable with missing out, especially when it comes to panels. Some of that you do need to be in line for an hour or two in advance. Even some of the smaller panels, you'd be surprised. People will start lining up, or what you might think is small. Yeah. I think that's kind of relative. Some people will start lining up 45 minutes in advance at the very least. So, being comfortable with missing out. That is also something that I think I learned firsthand.
Yeah. And well, something else that's important just because we're human. Where do you eat? Where do you eat? How do you stay hydrated? How do you take care of that?
That's a great question. One point I do want to bring up, and then I'll jump into the food. I think hydration is going to be key, especially when you are in that environment and you're overstimulated. I think water can very easily be an afterthought. Hydrating days leading beforehand is very important. So very big proponent of drinking water, keeping a water bottle with you. I can't remember exactly what the rules are in terms of what you can bring in. I went in last year, I just bought a plastic water bottle. First thing, kept that with me, and then also located my where all the water fountains are.
You can have a water bottle. You can the whatever it is, metal, plastic, whatever. You can carry that with you. And actually, it is a good idea because I don't know if you noticed, there's a lot of water fountains where you can just refill, and it's free water right there for you.
Yeah, and I think there are so many companies these days that make little water satchels too. So it makes it really easy to keep your water bottle with you. Water, I think, is one of the easier things that you can find. There is convention food, which is your typical, what I imagine stadium food is as well. Chicken strips, burgers, salads, things like that. There's also things offsite. I mean, you're in like the heart of San Diego, so it's not very hard to find food on the outside. Of course, you're going to miss out on things if you leave the convention center. I also want to call out that there will be some companies, I'm spacing on the name right now, but I know that there's a bagel and donut pop-up that will open first thing in the morning and basically be there until supplies last. So
I'm laughing because it's Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's actually Prince's donut truck. That I did see that.
Yeah, I mean, of course that's not the most substantial food. Last year I just bought convention food. I probably went with chicken strips because at least that's protein, and that carried me through the rest of the evening. Snacks. Keeping snacks on you, little bars, fruit leathers, things like that.
This is a part of when we do all these, when we talk about Comic-Con 101s, or how to when people ask me how do you get around Comic-Con, these are the things that I don't want to say. Not that, well, it is. I was gonna say not that I want to keep it secret. I actually do want to keep it secret. I do know some places in the convention center that actually do have some pretty good food. And one of them I will, because I like all of you, I will give it to you. And that is outside Ballroom 20. There is it's just a regular snack area, but the food is really good there. The burgers, I want to say they're grilled. They're not, they feel like they just got cooked right there. There's salads, there's fruits, there's all kind of stuff. So outside Ballroom 20, that is the one place where you can get, yes, convention food, but good, or as good as it can get in the convention center.
Wow, pro tip. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Well, it took me a few visits to find that one. So like I said, let all of you guys have that one. Now, one thing I should have said before we got into the convention center is going back outside, getting around. How do you get to and around? I know there's walking, but how do you? There's lift, all that. How would you get around the campus, not just the convention center?
That's a great question. I use the park, I think it's called ParkWiz app to locate, well, different lots in the area as well as the price. I mean, I think a lot of people go into these events expecting to pay $40-50 for a day to park there, which I think the convention center offers. I imagine that's just mayhem. The ParkWiz app, you can find lots for as low as, I want to say, like $12. Don't quote me on that, but there are definitely a lot cheaper areas you can park that are within the gas lamp district. So I think I parked within a 15-minute walk. It was super easy, affordable, monitored garage. That was really helpful. I'm sure there are Lyft, Uber drop-off points within the area, so that's an option as well. If you don't even want to deal with your car, if you don't even have a car, I guess I should say, for people who are traveling in. What else? Some hotels might have a shuttle, but I didn't have that experience, so I can't really speak to that too much.
Those are pretty good. Preview night, I think they start running. Oh, the other thing is if you want to get a shuttle, they're only it's only if you get an official Comic-Con hotel. Those are on the shuttle routes. If you just find one or an Airbnb on your own, they're not gonna have shuttles, complimentary shuttles, especially that they won't have those included. There's another thing actually that you mentioned. All of you have seen it. Even if you go on your first time, you can't miss them. They're called pedicabs. They're the little bicycles that go all over the place, and they have music and all of that. You can use those also. They can get a little bit. I mean, everything gets expensive when it's Comic-Con. They hike up the prices, but it's quick, it's fun, and you can play some music. And people are like, "Hey, they don't know who you are," but people just wave at the pedicab. So there's also those, and the good thing about the pedicabs, they can take you within where the lines are, and like where you see behind me, the marina. They can go in that area. Cars can't go through there. So pedicabs can take you where no cars have come before.
There you go.
Because they fit through there. So there's another one that you can do. Now the next thing, I don't know if you had to do this when you went last year, but like you said, there's a lot of people there. It can get overwhelming for first timers, especially if you want to get away for a little bit, unwind a little bit, or just get away from the crowd. How would you do that? Did you find any spaces where you can do that?
That's a good question. I've only been the one day, but the cafeteria that I ate in, and clearly there's a lot more, was upstairs. I want to say I took like 3 different escalators to get up there. And there was this window that overlooked the exhibit. It wasn't too crazy. So that would be kind of one area, and I'm the worst with directions, so probably the worst person to ask without a map. But one area in the convention center.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's where the fan club area, where the fan tables are, and that when they're usually right around when you come out on the up the escalators.
I do remember seeing all that. I think the higher you get up, the less people there are. I had my car, so having my car there was really helpful also for that reason. So kind of that midday point when I went to change or get my clothes, I was able to take a few minutes in my car as well. I think even just being outside of the building is really helpful. Oh, I also wanted to say in terms of just parking and walking around, no lot is too far from the convention center. You're going to be walking around all day, so don't be intimidated by parking maybe a little bit further from the convention center than you'd like to. But with that, you can also find there's little bars, cafes, things like that, which are perfect for taking a break away from the big crowds.
Again, I'm going to give you, all of you, I'm going to give you 2. They're not secret. Everybody knows about these. or maybe they do. Well, I mean, it's actually right behind my shoulder here. It's that building over there, the Manchester and the Marriott Marquis. Those two hotels, they do have a lot of spaces where you can unwind. There's not a lot of crowds there. The Manchester, there's a restaurant there. You can actually sit there if you want. If you're hungry, go to get away from the crowds. And sometimes there's lines, but not like what you see in Comic-Con, or in the main campus area. The Marquee, the Marriott Marquee, that one has a lot of places where you can just sit, just lounges where you can sit. And we talked about it in one of the segments earlier. That's also where the film festival is happening. And that film festival, there's a lot of room in those halls. You can sit there. It's dark. It's quiet. No one's going to bother you. There's a movie that you can watch while you're sitting there. And the best part, both of those have a lot of AC, really good AC. So if you want to get out of the heat, get out of the crowd, those are two places where you can go. So again, not secret, you know about them, but you may not know that you could use those as get away from the crowd places.
Lovely.
Now, we've covered pretty much everything. If you have any questions, anything that you think we may have missed, you can send a DM to either of us or email me. Most of you guys know how, or it's on the description how. Let's start thinking after Comic-Con is over, post Comic-Con. The emotional part, I miss Comic-Con, we can't help you there. You just gotta wait till next year when it comes back again. But how do you recover physically, financially? That's up to you guys, whatever you spent at Comic-Con. But how do you recover and get back to normal, your regular schedule after, especially when you go for a whole week after Comic-Con?
Definitely. That's a great question. I think a wind down routine is probably personal to everyone. I think as I'm transitioning from the fandom bubble back to day-to-day reality, I am the type of person, I live through the pictures and the videos that I have taken. Also just living through other people's experiences as well, kind of gets me in that, okay, we're transitioning from I was there into real life, but this is kind of helping me get back to real life while still feeling like I'm a part of the fun. So I like to kind of live through the content of what was taken as I'm kind of transitioning back into real life. Of course, hydration, I'm going to keep coming back to this, is key. Your emotional support water bottle will become your best friend. Electrolytes, after traveling and eating convention food or just not your day-to-day, getting back into, what's going to keep me back on track, from a food standpoint is also, I think, important right when you get home to just, okay, get back into the routine of things, relive through your memories here and there so it doesn't hurt as much, and drink a lot of water. I don't know if you have any advice from your experience, having gone so many more times.
Well, actually, funny you say that, because I was thinking, not a brag, but that's a luxury I actually have doing a show like the Geek Speak show, that it doesn't end for me. It's not Comic-Con, obviously, but even at the week after Comic-Con, in the weeks, the months going to the end of the year, I still have to live in that world, because I still interview celebrities, actors. Still got to deal with that world. So yeah, but I get my co-host Sean Clan. He's not here now, but the first time he covered a Comic-Con with us, he called me that Monday morning to tell me exactly what you said. Henry, I hate you. You showed me a whole new world, and now my job is even more boring than it was before. So yeah, I get it. It's hard. One thing I would say is exactly what you said, Aurelia, is go through kind of like a breakup. Go through everybody else's Instagram, social media, their videos, and like, oh yeah, I was there. Oh, I missed that. I don't know so and so was there. All that. That'll help a little bit. And you should be fine by Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday, maybe the next weekend. You should be fine by then. And if not, well, you're on your own. I can't help you. I
I
can't
know.
help you
I guess
there.
that's where we keep coming back to the idea of being comfortable with the the missing out part.
Yeah.
Even though there's technically not anything going on that week, it's still that lingering feeling of like, but there was.
Yeah. Let's see. I think we've covered pretty much. Is there anything else that you can think of that we missed?
Last thing I would say for first timers, because going in as a first time last year, I wasn't as familiar with activations. So there's so much going on in the city. There's the SDCC, an official blog that posts everything that is already published, as well as how to gain access to activations. So if you see there's a studio or brand that is doing something that you want to be a part of, sometimes you have to get tickets in advance. And for the most part, it's just standby. So I think getting there early, if there's something you really want to experience, will help your chances in getting into the activation without waiting an absurd amount of time. But with that, there's also a ton of people. So the line part is kind of part of the game. But there's definitely, different experiences that you can have even outside of the convention center.
I almost don't want to ask you this because again, this makes it seem like a brag, and it's not. And I also know, like you said, how long people wait sometimes. But when you have reservations, you make a reservation for the activations. Is it kind of like those of you that have gone to Disneyland? Is it kind of like the what is it called, the lightning pass or whatever they're called?
Lightning lane.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it feels. You just get to bypass the line.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, so that is how it works? Because I know there's
When
a
you have a
standby
return
line.
time, I believe so. And I only did one activation last year, and I'm sure they're all different. But I believe when you have a return time, there will be the standby line and there will be a return time line. So let's say you have a 3:30 return time. It'll tell you. They'll tell you on your ticket how early you need to show up. But let's say 15 minutes in advance. You go check in. There's normally like a waiting area. So it's not like you're just bypassing the line. It's kind of a separate waiting zone. And then once everyone for that time period checks in, they'll usually take you all as a group in, bring in those people first, and then a certain number of people in the standby line as well. I believe is how it works.
See, they need to do that for press, because that's why I was saying that I almost don't want to say, because I feel guilty when I go, because they invite us to do a press to cover it, basically make it part of our coverage, but we completely bypass everything and we walk right by everybody in the standby line, and they're just like, where are they going in? And we've been waiting here all day. So
it hurts.
That's just me. I feel guilty. Like I almost don't want to make eye contact with them, because like, yes, I know you've been waiting here, and I just walk in like it's nothing.
Yeah. But I will say, in terms of lines and return times, in the exhibit itself, the studios will also have some experiences that they'll put on. I want to say all of those you must have a return time, and that they do that through a QR code. They do. So you go in, you'll scan the QR code. Last year I did a Fantastic Four one. I probably scanned my phone at like 10 a.m. and I got my call back at 3:30. No, it was toward the end of the day. At almost 5:30 maybe is when I got my return time for the Fantastic Four walkthrough. Even when I checked in for that, you redeem your return time code and then you continue to wait in the line. So there's some things where you have your return time and you go right in, and then other things where you have your return time and it's just a return time to actually get in the line. So they can avoid the overcrowding, but it still hurts a little bit when you're like, yeah, I get to go in, and then you wait for another 45 minutes.
You get to go in to another line. I mean, I've always said that.
Yep.
You got to wait in the line to see if you can be in the line to be in the line.
Yeah.
That's San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, yeah. But speaking of lines, there's been one thing I've been wanting to know that I've never experienced before.
The bathroom lines.
Back of the lines? No,
the bathroom lines, I said.
Oh. Oh gosh, yeah. Don't even want to talk about that.
No. What line are you thinking about?
How the heck do you get into Ballroom H?
Oh, well, both of them. You combine the two, Ballroom 20 and Hall H, because those are you're right. Those are the two biggest ones. Ballroom Hall H is the biggest. Ballroom 20 is the second biggest. Usually where they have the bigger TV shows. Um, Sort of an unspoken thing. Studios know that when you make Ballroom 20, you're almost a hit. You're not quite there. When you're in your Hall H, you made it. That's where you get Star Trek, Marvel, DC, all the big ones. They're all there. Keanu was there the year that RDJ revealed the Doctor Doom. That's the Hall H ones. But Hall H, Ballroom 20, it's a wait, yes. Hall H, it's an adventure. It could be a 2-day, maybe potentially even a 3-day adventure, and I know why, but I still don't get why. Again, not a brag, but when you go as press, we get complimentary press badges to cover Comic-Con. But I don't understand, but I do understand at the same time. People that I don't even know how much the badges are for Comic-Con for the whole week. I imagine they're not $20. They gotta cost a pretty penny. So you spend all that money, all that waiting in line, you finally get it, and you spend the whole time camping out to see if you can get into Hall H. Because the way it works is, let's take this year. If you were to go into any panel in Hall H, I think I can guess which one, but which one, Aurelia, would you want to go into?
Really hard decision here, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll see the lines will be there already when you go. They'll be there for Marvel. So for this year, while the programming is out, it's not a secret anymore. It's like always Saturday 5:30 in Hall H. So you have to go to what's called the next day line. That starts. They say you can't start lining up on Thursday on Thursday for Fridays, but people do. You wait for what's called the flag drop. It's literally a flag drop. They have a green flag, and you've seen the signs that they hold up, the picket signs, I call them, that say the end of line. They'll be there, and then somebody will drop a green flag. That's your signal to line up for Friday. You're going to be in line pretty much all day Friday, and what you're waiting for is not to get into Hall H. You're waiting for. Do I have one here? No, I don't. The Hall H wristband, or the toucan trackers as they call them. And it's just a wristband, but they have letters now, A, B, C through D, I think it is. That corresponds to the sections in Hall H, because Hall H holds 6,000 people, or a little bit more, I think, but 6,000 plus, I'll say, people in there. And if you walk through the lines, there's more than 6,000 people in those lines. So not everybody's going to get in. Again, the Mo, that's a big one. So you have to lose 2 days basically, because you're going to be in the Hall H wait line all day long, because they don't start handing out the wristbands until about 8 or 9 p.m. sometimes 10 or 11. And then once you have that wristband, you have two choices. You can either go back to your hotel, get a good night's sleep, shower in the morning, but you have to be back in the line. They tell you by 7 a.m. I say 5 or 6 a.m. just to make sure you can get a good spot. Or what most people do, they just stay there. You camp out all night. If you're lucky, you're under the tent. All of you have probably seen the white tents right outside Hall H. If you're in there, cool. You're under the tents. You're on AstroTurf or grass. If not, and I've been in these, you're going to be in across the street by the Bayfront Hotel. You can over there, and you're going to be on the concrete on the ground. Yeah, you can take camping. Well, let's not get crazy. You can take sleeping bags. You can take foldable chairs. They allow you to take the foldable chairs, the small ones. You can't take tents and umbrellas and all that. You can have that, but you better have somewhere to put them afterwards, because you can't take that into Hall H. And they do leave. I think it's Hall C or D. One of the bathrooms there, they do leave it open all night, and you can go if you need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. You can't go to the Bayfront or the hotels because they close them off to attendees. It's only for people that are staying in the hotel. In the morning, again, same thing. You get a wake up call at about 6 a.m. So you got a couple of hours to wake up, get your coffee somehow, order it, or however you wake up, roll up your whatever you had on there, clean your area, whatever you can do with your stuff, your camping equipment, either some people just leave it there. That's why they get free stuff on Craigslist or something and just throw it. They don't want it anymore. Just leave it there. Or if they're close or their friend comes by and they take it and take it back to the hotel or wherever you're staying. And then it's another wait because the people that are in the tents already went through this, but everybody else that's waiting in line, and you're guaranteed, if you have the wristband, you're guaranteed to get into Hall H no matter what. You may not be right in front. The people that stay there all night, that's because they want to be in front. But everybody else, you have to go through, like Disneyland, through a check-in. There's the tables, there's the metal detector, so they have to go through your bags. What do you have in there? No weapons, no Google glasses, because they don't want you to, I think we're going to get a certain trailer that I think everybody knows at this point. They don't want you to record it and leak it later on. I don't know why you would. It's going to be out minutes after it comes out. So once you get through that, then they slowly start moving people in about 8:30, 8:45 around there. Because the first panel usually starts at 10, sometimes 11. So they want, obviously, everybody in there by the time it starts. And that's your Hall H adventure. That's where you get into. So like I said, if you want to do it, you can. You just be prepared to lose at least 2, potentially 3 days just waiting in line to see if you can be in the line, to get into Hall H.
Oh, my.
But I haven't done it many, many times at this point, and I wish my co-hosts were here. They said the same thing. The year that we saw RDJ, well worth it, because yes, by the time you get in there, you can barely keep your eyes open. Like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm tired. As soon as 4:45 comes around, there's an energy that just comes into Hall H. All these people that weren't there, no empty seats. This year starts at 5:30. If by 5:15 they're not, the Marvel logo's not up on the screens, the chant starts, Marvel, Marvel. And then when Eddie comes out to introduce it, the chant, the Eddie chant starts, and it's a whole thing. I always say it's an event within an event, and all the tiredness, all that stuff, you forget it. And believe me, it flies like that. Before you know it, Feige's out there and he's telling you, let's talk about what's coming, and then you can see that trailer, and then you're going to be talking about it, and you're going to see everybody there. And I think I just gave away too much what you're going to see in the panel, but you're going to see all of that, and all that weight, all of that makes it worth it. But it
sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like there's nothing that can beat that energy.
No.
It's what I can imagine.
Yeah. No, I'm a parent. I've had kids, and people say, your wedding, when your kids are born, those are once in a lifetime experiences. I include Hall H if you get in there, the Marvel panel specifically, not just because I'm the Marvel guy, but yes, it is definitely a once in a lifetime type of experience. Some Marvel panels have been light for what they do, but then you have like the first ones when they first assembled the original Avengers on stage way back then. Then you've all probably seen it on YouTube by now when Tom Hiddleston came out in full Loki outfit and say my name, I'm Loki. When RDJ a couple times when he danced down the aisles up to the stage. And again, RDJ when he took off the mask and new mask, same task. All of those are things that you're always going to remember. The other panels they're good, they're fun. You get a lot of new trailers and all that stuff. But the Marvel panels, they're always an event within the event. And yes, I can understand why with all of that, waiting in line and you're camping out there and you can't shower and all of that. That's why you get Confunk and Hall H. But everybody. Okay, the AC is going on the whole time, so you don't really smell it by the time Marvel rolls around.
Oh, that's funny, but yeah, amazing.
Well, let me wrap up like this. Now that you kind of know, would you ever want to do the Hall H adventure?
To say yes, because it would be incredible to be in that room. I'm intimidated by the camping out process. My final answer would be yes, I would. But like you said, as a first time goer, if you're paying all this money, it would be a lot to miss the first few days. That would be kind of sad. So, but for me, that's probably what I'm most excited about. I'll say yes. That's my final answer. I'll stop talking myself out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot. It is, but it sounds like a lot. But really, even the wait becomes you make lifelong friends. We have friends that we met in line. Not some of them aren't even from America. They came from other places just for that.
Wow.
And there's some that are from across the country, from the East Coast. I think they're going to be here actually again. We see each other pretty much every Comic-Con. I think we're planning actually on doing it again because they know that it's going to be a big Marvel panel. So we talked about, hey, you ready to do it again? One of them, Morgan. Hey, Morgan. Morgan, I met him back in 2019, right before everything shut down. But I met him there, and we did the Hall H line that year. That was his first time. He always jokes every year, waiting in the Hall H line like shaves off a year off my life every time I go there. And I know what he means, but again, he'll tell you if he was here, it is worth it. Definitely worth it at the end of the day.
Incredible.
Yeah. So
you're all in it together.
Yeah. Funny you say that because that was actually the theme that year. And everybody took that same, remember the picture from Endgame when they all put their hands together. Everybody took that picture with the wristbands, whatever it takes to get into Hall H.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I said, that's pretty much everything. I think Hall H included. And again, if we missed anything or there's something that you want to know that we didn't answer, go ahead, send us an email, a message, anything. And I always say this: you'll see me out there with cameras, microphones, the Geek Speak shirts. You'll know it's me, even if you don't know me personally. Don't be afraid to come say hi. And you heard Matt Wiatt, the director, earlier. It's their first time, even though their movie's being screened at Comic-Con. But they're gonna use me as a guide. They'll tell me where to go, where all that. If you guys are lost, if you see me or you see anybody with a Geek Speak shirt, don't be afraid to ask. Hey, where do we go? What do we do? I know we geeks, we nerds, we have a reputation of being introverts, being shy, and yeah, it's true we are. But I'm telling you, not just because David Glanzer said it many times, but this is our people. That's our tribe right there. So. Don't be afraid to ask somebody. And the cool thing about Comic-Con, it's a closed campus except for badge attendees, except when you go outside to the gas lamp and all that. But in Comic-Con, that is our safe space. Everybody's there for the same thing. Maybe not the same movie or show or whatever, but we're all there because we love geek culture, pop culture, and we're all introverts and shy there. Even me, as much as I talk on these microphones, even I am. But that is the one place where no one laughs at me because I'm wearing. Well, really, you found out last year. Nobody laughed at you because of what you wore, or because of the guys dressed as Galactus. Nobody's gonna say like, "Oh, he's weird." They want pictures. There, you're a superstar for that 1 week. So yeah, this is definitely our home for that 1 week. So if you feel lost, don't be afraid to ask anybody. Again, I'm there. I don't charge anything. Nobody does. Just ask me. Sometimes I don't think. Things are tougher this year, but there have been, and those of you that are watching, you remember, I bought pizza for some of our listeners that we met. They're like, hey, I'm hungry. Let's go get some pizza. And they're like, hey, Henry's a pretty cool guy. They bought us pizza and all that. So that's what I miss after Comic-Con. Not really the panels, all that stuff. It's the people, the friends that I see there, and the friends that I may make there after we go there. So yeah. After all of that, before we get out of here, Aurelia, let them know where they can follow you and what if anything you have coming up that they should especially be looking out for whatever you're doing.
Thank you. Yes, I've been doing a cool Spider-Man outfit series for Brand New Day and Spider-Man Summer. You can find me at Aurelia's Adventureland on Instagram and TikTok, and I do plan on being in San Diego for Comic-Con. I will probably be experiencing all of the activations, so don't ask me for directions because I'm directionally challenged, but you can, if you do see me around, ask me where you should be going because I'm hoping I can see it all. But yeah, looking forward to it. I'll be covering the activations during that week and more to come after that.
Yeah, and if you don't have an answer to something, just tell him, find Henry. He'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly. That's my answer. That's my final answer.
Yeah. So again, everybody, there you go. It feels like we already went through Comic-Con, but now you are ready. The countdown has reached 0, not the Doomsday one, the countdown to Comic-Con. It's time for Comic-Con. Enjoy it if you're going there. And if you are going there, like I always say, hang on a second. A few more things before we officially get out of here. Call it a countdown for 2026. First of all, as we recorded that Comic-Con 101 episode, as we wrapped up, we were talking afterwards, and I started sharing some other memories, and Aurelia said, it sounds like fun. It sounds like something I would want to do. And I said, why not? Let's do it. So, officially announcing right here, Aurelia is joining the Geek Speak team as a guest correspondent for this year's Comic-Con. So you'll see her during the week. You'll see her do some interviews. I'm going to have her you'll see. Again, just keep watching. Everything will be on here on the YouTube channel, but you'll see what she's going to do for us. That's the first thing. The second thing is we'll probably do a wrap up the Comic-Con episode either next week on the regular Wednesday episodes, or again, something new we're going to try. We'll record it right there somewhere. No, well, not there, but that's not in the ocean, but somewhere in Comic-Con as we're waiting for Hall H, because, that's an adventure. And I've always talked about them on the shows. Why not record it? Maybe even do some video. We might show you our adventures, one of our adventures at least, in the Hall H line. So, not sure if it can happen or not. Yeah, those of you that go, you know how crazy it gets. So we might do it, might not. If anything, like I said, you'll get it next week to wrap up the Comic-Con, which is just a reaction to what we all experienced and saw at San Diego Comic-Con. And finally, again, another thank you. The coverage, including the Countdown to Comic-Con episode, brought to you by Comic Book Hideout, downtown Fullerton. It's been my favorite comic book shop in Orange County since I moved up here to Orange County. Visit them at 215 West Commonwealth in Fullerton. I'm pretty sure it's going to be yours too. If you haven't had a chance to visit them in person, you can do so online. Just go to comicbookhideout.com. Now, I can say we'll see you in San Diego.
But the one thing that I'm most excited for is to wait in line. Most of the time, we're gonna be in line. I don't care how bad it smells or that it's cramped. I love spending my money to pretend that I'm in a refugee camp. Also, I can get a distant view of something I can watch at home in 1080p on YouTube. I could have saved my money for a brand new car and had a Super Bowl night with my friends at a bar. I could have bought a trip to Disneyland, but who needs Space Mountain when you can just stand and find a line, another line. Hey, look, there's a line that leads to more lines.
So awesome.
It's just a line. I'm not really a line guy.